Hello, welcome to the American Path. This is Emmanuel Williams. I've begun this project to take the bite out of my vlog in the evening by giving the news a place to shine, a place to breathe, instead of overwhelming my vlog with its headlines and constant chatter from yours truly in reaction to these news stories. So, this is the American Path, and here's where we are. First up, we've got the news that Joe Biden has dropped out of the race and endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Excuse me. All day, the news has been talking about this. All day, we've been taking a break from our Sunday to enjoy the polite reminder that Joe Biden that it was his decision all along, and he decided to step down. Finally, there were those who wanted him to drop out sooner because of his age, wanted him to drop out because he was stammering often and more often than usual. There was even a piece in the New York Times by an actor, George Clooney, stating that he was not the same person that he had supported earlier, and for years he had been on the decline. However, that news be as it may, Joe Biden has finally decided to step down, and Kamala Harris is up. So what do we think about Kamala Harris? What do I think about Kamala Harris? I think the ticket is now more exciting than it was before. I think Kamala Harris can definitely step up to the challenge of the grueling process to come. I think it's going to be great learning her platform these days, aside from her first presidential attempt. And going forward, I hope that the debate over reproductive rights has now a better voice. And I think it does because that voice is a woman's voice who has prosecutorial background and can fine-tune the case when it does come time for her to lay the law the way she will plan it, the way that she needs to. Will there be executive orders? Will there be laws written by Kamala herself? Will there be amendments? Will there be? Will she simply take the plight and run with it and be its champion? The jury is. Well, forget the jury. The prosecutor is in the building, and we'll see what happens going forward. Next, we have the news that Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu will be addressing a joint session of Congress this coming week on Wednesday, July 24th. And there are lawmakers who have made it their goal to sit out the speech. Some of them complaining that it's not the right time to bring him, that there's no reason to bring him at all. Why is he here, et cetera, et cetera. And I echo that sentiment. Why bring one of the biggest enemies in Europe to the American shores so that he can address Congress, and for what purpose? There is not much to say about that except that security will be beefed up, and that protests could get crazy, could get chaotic. Because if there's one thing I know from being a college student, it's how intense the protests can be when they're on your own campus or when they're knocking on your front door. And that means Capitol Hill should be well prepared for anything. Next, we have Puck Putin, which is a Twitter hashtag that went around for a long time, especially during the height of Alexei Navalny's treatment from the Russian prisons. There's a new victim, not new, because there will always apparently be a victim of Putin's idea of punishment, of jail, of law. I'm going to read you an excerpt from an opinion in the New York Times considering the case of Evan Gershkovich. The only surprise in the guilty verdict against Evan Gershkovich, a Wall Street Journal correspondent who was arrested in Russia last year on phony charges of espionage, was that it came so quickly. The charge itself was a farce. No evidence was ever made public if the hearings were held in secret, and Mr. Gershkovich's lawyers were barred from saying anything in public about the case. This is the way that things go over in Russia. You don't get a chance to speak. You don't get a chance to defend yourself because the case is already decided before you walk in the courtroom. In America, the way things run are a little different. There's something called the presumption of innocence, which does not exist in Russia. And when it comes to the rule of law, that exists in America, at least a balanced rule of law, where everyone is treated equally, and if you mess up, you get the same punishment someone else does. And in Russia, it's different because as soon as Putin holds an election, he's already won. As soon as a defendant comes before their court, they're already convicted. And for years, at least 10. This particular sentence for Gershkovich is about 15 to 16. Navalny's was, I think, 20 to 30 or so. But speaking of Alexei Navalny, a man whom I deeply respect and revered, may he rest in peace, before his fight against Putin, for his legitimacy as an opposition leader ready to take up the leadership of Russia itself, to show them a better way. And the only problem he had was Putin's Russia, Putin's security, Putin's war on those who would stand against him. And I want to make it clear at the outset that I am anti-Putin. I am anti-fascist. I am anti-Trump. And I am anti those who will take the rights from us when we fought so hard to gather them and keep them safe. With that said, I think Netanyahu's arrival says nothing about his attempt to get closer to the ceasefire deal. Reports are that Antony Blinken thinks we're in the 10-yard line. That's a New York Times quote, not my own words. We'll see. But the Palestinian people need peace. They need their land back. There's been some word from the International Court of Justice that the behavior of Israel, that the territory that Israel now occupies in the Palestinian area, that should be Palestine, breaks law and is unsupported by that court. There's more to see from that from the New York Times. I'll try and add some links so you can get further reading and see the video from the New York Times in the description. But for now, good night and good luck.